Hey everyone, another episode of Cannabis Corner. We are now here at Vapor Central, right on Yonge Street, 667 Yonge Street, Toronto, Ontario. We're in a pretty historic place right now. This is one of Toronto's first legal vapor lounges where, even before legalization, people could come to consume freely, legally, age-gated, of course.
Great concert spot.
Absolutely.
What upward people?
Right, yeah.
Done, but
Yeah. I remember coming here, back in the day, of legal age, of course. Hitting the volcanoes, this is a staple for true medical patients as well. So I'll come out and hang out here. But today we got a really exciting episode. I want to introduce you to Travis Petersen. This is the Nomad chef out of Vancouver, right? Vancouver, BC. An excellent chef. He cooks 5-star type meals with cannabis infused dinners. So Travis, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it. So tell us how it started.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting story, and for those of you who've heard it before, you can hear it again. But essentially, I've been cooking since I was 15.
Yeah.
Just loved it. I've never worked in a kitchen.
Yeah.
I didn't go to culinary school.
Yeah.
Anytime I worked in a restaurant as a kid was either bartender or
Gotcha.
Right? It was front of house. But I love to cook.
Yeah.
And I love to cook for people. Kind of taught myself to cook for a date one time. I was like, okay, hey, this kind of makes me look mature. And
worked out all right.
So it worked.
Yeah, it worked. And then going to Vancouver Island, we've got a cabin there, and I would take friends every summer, and I would catch fresh salmon and oysters, clams, prawns, all this stuff fresh, and cook it right away. And it always just tasted just delicious, right?
Yeah.
Because it's fresh right out of the ocean. So I always had this love for cooking, but I worked in the oil and gas industry for 8 years. I was a business manager for a British oil company.
Oh, wow.
In 2015, I jokingly applied for MasterChef Canada.
Yeah.
I got on the show. I got eliminated right away, second episode, and was like, well, good thing I got this.
One of my things I strive for is MasterChef Canada. Do you know the company Weatherford?
Yes.
My father-in-law works for them.
Okay.
Oil guy.
Yes. Yeah, so after coming back from MasterChef, there was a major recession in the oil industry in 2015. I got laid off and given a severance package, and I knew MasterChef was going to premiere next year. So I got out there and I started the Nomad Cook, and the concept was to be a traveling chef.
Yeah.
I thought, musicians and comedians and that can travel city. Why can't a chef?
Yeah.
Why do we have to go to the chef, right? Why don't the chef come to us?
Mm-hmm.
Having lived in Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, I had my circuit.
Yeah.
And I kind of worked it. The first 2 years was I wouldn't say a struggle, but I called my company the Nomad Cook because here I was, 31-year-old guy, all of a sudden calling myself a chef.
Yeah.
The culinary world was like, fuck you, no you're not, right?
Yeah.
And a couple people said before, Nomad, you got to say cook, you can't say chef. So I came in cook. And, I also felt I had to, pay my dues like anyone did, washing dishes, coming up through lunch. I didn't do that. And me paying my dues was taking Greyhound buses and shit and traveling around and sleeping on couches.
Nice.
And, hey, we can make Instagram life look beautiful. Yes, I'm going Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Kelowna. Hey, it's grand.
But what about all those places in between?
Places in between. When I left oil and gas, I got rid of my car, I got rid of everything I had. Went from 6 figures down to nothing, and it was. Now that I think about it, it's kind of crazy at 31 to be like, I'm going to become a chef.
Yeah.
Right, especially in an industry that doesn't pay very much.
Because it's not dissimilar for saying I'm going to become a lawyer at that time, right?
Yeah.
Like there's still a ton of time, a ton of dues. You either make very little money or you spend a ton, and that kind of thing.
Right. So, but here was the thing: is I was having fun doing it. I very quickly picked up some, the odd celebrity client. I started working for a couple of the Edmonton Oilers. This is all pre-cannabis, right? This is just me kind of. But my whole life I'm trying to find who am I as a person.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I found food.
Yeah.
It was always there in front of my face. But that's what I was. I truly believe, right? But I never once in my life said I want to be a chef.
Right. Yeah.
Right until I was like, I'm going to be a chef.
And at this point, were you cooking infused dinners yet, or
no? Here I am, 2 years in with the Nomad Cook, and I'm trying to say, okay, who am I as a chef?
Right.
Should I go work at a resort? Should I work as a private chef for athletes? What do I do? And it was March 2018. Front page of the Georgia Straight in Vancouver is Chef Chris Soleil, the herbal chef out of LA. is sold out cannabis dinners in Canada. And it says Chef Chris Soleil has sold out 200 people in Vancouver, 200 people in Toronto, and will be coming in 3 weeks. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, someone from the States is coming here and doing this before we even legalize it? I mean, this should be Canadian.
Yes.
So I was like, okay. I'm like, I turned my house into a little pop-up restaurant.
Yeah.
And we have 164 people over 4 days.
Wow.
Right? I'm doing 5 seatings of 12 a day. We're flipping it over. So before this, like about a week before it happens, CTV Victoria calls me and goes, hey, we'd like to do a little, we heard you're doing a cannabis dinner on 420.
Yeah.
Do you want to, can we interview you? And I was like, fuck yeah. Let's
Yeah,
do
of
it.
course.
Yeah. Bring the camera over. So I do this interview and that, and on April 16th, it airs at 5 o'clock at the CTV Victoria News. Then it goes into CTV National. First story, boom, there it is. The second story on the National.
Wow.
And I'm like, fuck. Because part of the story is they went to Health Canada after they talked to me and said, is this legal what he's doing?
Yeah,
Health Canada's
of
like,
course.
no, it's not.
Right.
So the first call I get the next morning is from Health Canada.
Yeah.
Going, where's these dinners at? And I'm like, I'm not telling you. Right?
What dinners?
So all my dinners are private location, as you didn't find out where you were going until the day you came and sat down.
Yeah,
right?
They put a blindfold over our heads. We had to sneak into this random Airbnb. You have these locations. And
I do the first 3, right? And I'm like, don't call me a cannabis chef. I'm a chef.
Yeah.
These are the ingredients,
Okay.
right? These are just cannabis dinner series.
Yeah.
It's called the Infused Dining Series. That's what I start off.
Okay.
So I do Vancouver, Kelowna, Victoria. Then all of a sudden, I'm getting messages from people in Alberta going, yo, what about us? Right? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I go out to Alberta, and all of a sudden I get emails from people in Toronto. And they're like, yo, what about us in here? So Edmonton, Calgary, both sell out 80 people, right, over a weekend with permission. So I reach out to Airbnb owners and say, I'm a chef. I was on MasterChef.
Right.
I'm coming. I'm going to do a bunch of dinners. I'll be done by 9 o'clock. Never more than 8 people. Are you okay with this?
Right.
Yes, right? So I came out to Toronto once in that first 2 years, and I sold 18 of 40 tickets. I gave away 12.
Okay.
I lost money on the trip, but it was my first time coming to Toronto. It was, for me, it was kind of a big deal. It was a milestone moment
For
early
sure.
in my career.
And even if it's a lost leader, it's one of those
So
things
I
where it's
came
like,
to the
boom,
dinner
I
in
didn't-
Toronto. I didn't
Exactly.
know a single person. I came out
And you
great.
still were successful.
So I was always a little nervous to come back, but the cannabis thing was going well. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to come back to Toronto. Boom, sells out in 10 days.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, shit, right? So within the first 6 months leading up to October 18th in 2018, I served 1,000 people.
Oh my God.
Like, just like that,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And, I went to Edmonton like twice, Kelowna 3 times, Vancouver 3 times, right? And all of a sudden, here's the thing, going into it, I go, this is going to be a niche. It's going to be a little fad because, cannabis is legal and everything's like, cool, cannabis. And then it's going to be young 20-year-old males coming to these dinners, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was reluctant at first.
Yeah.
To date, I've served over 4,300 people, right? My average age is 39.
Wow.
57% is female clients.
Okay.
That's
and,
awesome.
we're getting that 17% of first-time cannabis users.
Wow.
Right? And
All
we
of that
classify
flies in the face of what you would popularly believe, right?
right?
Exactly,
And watching again, you're all strangers. This is all pre-COVID, so we sat everyone at the same table,
Yeah.
right? And watching strangers connect, kind of like you guys did that night,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
You guys all had a common thing to talk about was the industry. These people, it was cannabis because it was people who would never talk to each other,
Right.
but trading phone numbers,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
That's got to hit you on a different level,
it
right?
did, because there were a couple times I'd stand in the kitchen and look out at the table, and I was like, fuck yes,
Yeah.
right? Like, again, these dinners are selling out, and, I've come a long way in 5 years professionally cooking, right? And I'm very proud of the food I put out now, but, when I first started, there were a lot of mistakes and this and that, so I was always very critical.
Right.
But again, people kept buying the tickets, and I'm like, okay, well, it started giving me more confidence,
Yeah.
right? And, I started reaching out to other chefs and saying, hey, let's collaborate, let's work together, right? So pre-COVID, I did a Valentine's dinner series with a vegan chef. We did Calgary, sold out. We sold out a vegan Valentine's dinner in Calgary. I worked with a sushi chef in Edmonton. We served 100 people. It was the very last pre-COVID dinner I did. 100 people, and we did 2 50-person seatings.
Jeez. Wow.
100 people in 5 hours.
Wow.
Right? So, it opened up the states for me. So 2019, I go to New York. I do a dinner. There's an underground cannabis club called 20 Past 4.
Wow.
We do a dinner in the Bronx on top of a roof, 100 people,
Wow.
right?
That is classic.
Like
right?
just the craziest experience. You know, I did a little West Coast tour: Seattle, Portland, San Fran.
Right.
I go down to San Fran. There's Chef Michael Megale's, the opulent chef.
Mm.
So, what's that rapper that does his most expensive? 2 Chainz most expensive.
Oh, yes.
So 2 Chainz most expensive weed dinner, and it was Michael Megale's, 10 grand for the dinner.
Wow.
So I go and I work with him. We do his dinner, and then I was like, okay, shit, I'm gonna go back and do another one on my own. I go down there in October, and I met my wife. Right, so cannabis has brought me my passion. Right, it brought me a purpose in life. I feel it brought me my wife.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It has brought so much to me, and you know, that reluctance to call myself a cannabis chef. I'm so proud to call myself a cannabis chef. You know, I have with no risk, there's no reward.
Right.
You know, I've walked a very fine line to get to where I'm at.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you know, now I'm working and collaborating with the retailers, with the LPs. Right. We're creating education out there for people. You know, what is my goal with all of this?
Yeah, where do you see it's going?
You know,
perfect world.
This is an opportunity for Canada to claim this as ours. Right.
Yes.
We are not a culinary destination. Right. That doesn't mean we have amazing food. This city's food is off the wall. Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. The food is delicious out here.
Absolutely.
Newfoundland, right?
Like Newfoundland, George Street, Maritime's food. But like to your point, it's not a destination.
The Italian couple who travels for food does not pick Canada.
Totally.
Right? Canada gets picked for our beautiful landscapes,
skiing,
right? Yeah. But what if we can all of a sudden?
Pot's okay.
Well, this is the thing, right? We are getting pot tourists. I lived in Toronto for 5 months here last year, and I had 6 different couples come up from Buffalo and other parts along the border that came specifically here to do a dinner with me. Right? Because it wasn't legal where they were at.
Okay.
Right? So what I want is I want to make sure that the 15-year-old kid who knows he wants to go to culinary school, knows he wants to be a cannabis chef, he's got no roadblocks to doing that, right? That he doesn't have to hide his address, that he doesn't have to go on YouTube to learn how to do it, that he can go to George Brown or any culinary institution in this country and actually, learn from a professional.